Welcome to Ope. I Found a Weird Show. I'm Laura.
Beans.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are continuing our recap of season 3 of the TV show From. And today we have episode 6, Scar Tissue. So we are just moving right along through season 3. And then we're going to be in limbo with the rest of the Frumily, who are waiting for season 4. So you guys can suffer like I have been.
Is Frumly an official term?
Yeah. I mean, like, it gets hashtagged and stuff by the cast.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I did not come up with that. I thieved it from the rest of the From fans. So we start this episode with Jim and Tabitha in their bedroom, and Tabitha had nightmares, so she's standing by the window. And Jim asks, do you want to talk about it? She says no. And we get into like a full-fledged, like, mom and dad are fighting moment. But she tells him she should have done more when she was out there. And Jim gets up and he goes to comfort her. And he tells her, like, you did the best you could. She's like, how do you know that? And, you keep saying stuff like that, but how do you know? How do you have any idea what I could have done? And he keeps saying stuff like that just so she feels better. And Jim asks her, like, well, would you rather I pick you apart? Make you feel like shit? I just want you to be honest. I'm like, oh, it's a full mom and dad are fighting. And, they continue. Jim says, what she wants is for him to read her mind so he can say whatever she wants to hear at any given time. And, if she wants him to be the bad guy, fine. But he was the one who stayed here holding their kids together while she ran off. Not
Liar.
really, though.
Like, my initial thought with this fight is like, okay, so she's mad at Jim for being supportive, which is one of the only times he's ever been supportive. So, like, I kind of am like, not really a great thing to start off the fight with, but also, like, Jim's a piece of shit anyway, so I'm okay with you fighting with him.
This is not the first time that she's gotten in a fight with him for him being like, it's fine, we'll figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Like, that happened in season 1.
Yeah, but also with that time, like, he was being overly positive and in denial about their position.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'd be really pissed off with him too because he's telling his kids they're on vacation.
Yeah.
But like this one, he is just being the supportive spouse and like, you did your best. Like, I don't know what you were going through, but I know you and I know that you make good decisions. So I trust that you did your best. He didn't word it like that, but
Yeah.
that's what I think he was trying to say. But yeah.
Well, and she counters, like, I asked for your permission and I was trying to save our daughter. And Jim asks, like, if it ever occurred to her that they could have done things together, but no, she wants to do them on her own. She wants to do everything on her own. But again, it's like, Jim, you're actually the one who does that a lot. So, like,
yeah.
I think they're both a little guilty of it.
They are. But like, at least in this scenario, she did talk with him about it before going through the tree. He has not done that with some of his harebrained schemes. Most of his schemes, actually. And he can't be like, we should have done this together when they also kind of talked about that and someone had to stay back with the kids. Granted, Jim can't be trusted to actually watch his own children, but still.
We're trying not to parentify Julie, even though we definitely are. But
like, it's also frustrating because he even said when like him and Kenny were out in the woods, he was like, oh, this is why she wanted to go alone, because someone needed to stay and watch the kids and she wouldn't want me doing this. So now he's just like mad at her because she's not dead.
Yeah. Oof. No.
But like, really though, like, he was totally like, oh, I now understand what she was wanting to do and she sacrificed herself. And now that she's alive, he's like, well, damn you, you didn't die. And so now I can be mad at you for something that I was totally fine with when you were presumed dead.
Yeah. Well, and Jim at this point says, that's why and he stops and she asks him, like, why I did what? And he's like, nope, I'm going to bed. And he like pulls the covers over him and she tells him, stop being a fucking coward and tell me. That gets Jim out of bed, and he says that's why she wanted a divorce, because it would have been easier for her to cut and run to deal with Thomas's death on her own instead of trying to put their family back together. Tabitha says, "Oh, and you were the knight in shining armor, right? Everything you did was every choice you made was perfect. You know, if Tabitha tells him, like, if you think us getting a divorce was going to let me deal with it on my own, but like I was already on my own. Jim got to throw himself into work. He wasn't there when Julie and Ethan woke up crying. Jim didn't see them sitting in Thomas's room just staring at his toys. And now Jim is upset because he had to take care of his kids for a few days while she was gone. She's like, I took care of those fucking kids for a year while he was doing she doesn't know what.
But also, does she know that while she was gone, that he went off and did his own little mission with Kenny? Like, has anyone told her that he wasn't watching the kids?
No, it's one of those, like, it feels like it hasn't been relayed, but you would think it would have been.
Not in Frumland. These people don't talk.
That's very true. Well, Jim tries to argue back, but like even the monsters are sick of their shit and start screaming. And Jim heads downstairs, and that's our case of Ra Sarah. I know. I was like, occasionally a well-timed monster scream has been like the thing that the show needs. I'm like, I love it. Thank you, monster. So we're in the kitchen. Tabitha is sitting there, or standing there, looking at the drawings that are there, and Julie comes in, and Julie asks, like, where's Dad at? And Tabitha tells her, oh, Jim went to the lake with a group of people to get the rest of the food. Julie's like, oh, so we're taking day trips to the lake now? And Tabitha's like, the people need the food. And Julie, oh, so nothing to do with that screaming match last night? And Tabitha's just like, I'm sorry that you heard that. And Julie says, I'm pretty sure the people at Colony House heard. And Tabitha starts to like talk, and Julie's like, nope, I get it. I've heard the speech plenty of times. I'm glad some things are finally getting back to normal. And she walks off to go get Ethan. I'm like, oof. And Julie is like playing no games at this point. She,
She really isn't, but I mean, when Jim decided to take his first day trip to the lake, and while she was gone, who took care of him? Yes, Tien Chen was there, but who was really there?
yeah, 100%. No, Julie has every right and reason to be mad.
Mhm.
And so at this point, we head over to Boyd and Jade at the bar. And Jade is telling Boyd about the numbers in the bottles, that it could be some kind of code or an algorithm, who knows. The fact that Tabitha got pushed out of a lighthouse and ended up in Cambridge, Maine, Jade doesn't think he can, or that he's being controversial when he says, by all metrics, that's impossible. Unless she experienced some type of quantum event or a wormhole or any of the other theoretical events that would allow her to end up in the woods and Camden, Maine, or maybe the lighthouse in the woods are in the same space. Maybe it isn't a wormhole, but like more of a dimensional rift, and Beans is loving this shit. Yeah, I love him going off. He's just like, "Oh man, I'm so pumped about all of this." And he very much gets on a tangent, and Boyd cuts him off. He's like, "I thought you had something exciting to show me." And Jade gives him this look like, "Yeah, numbers, theories, yeah, exciting." And but Jade tells him, I understand why you might be skeptical, but like something tells me that this has to mean something. The bottle tree was important to Miranda, and according to Tabitha, she's the only one who has a connection to this place long before she arrived, right? And Boyd asks, like, well, what about the bottles on the other tree? And Jade's like, the one in Maine? Like, how am I supposed to go look at that one? Boyd's like, no, 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 the one that Sarah and I found. It wasn't a faraway tree, but it still had bottles hanging on it with little messages inside. Like, Boyd pulled one down. It said 1864. And Jade has, like, all the strips of the numbers pinned up to the wall. And he finds the one that says 1864. And he's like, you got to show me where the tree is. So things are coming together.
I just gotta say, if someone led me to a tree, that had bottles full of, like, pieces of paper that had just numbers on them, I would be like, "Okay, cool. Bye. I don't know what to do with this." I would have no idea where to start with this. So this would be use I would be s I'm too dumb for that.
Eh, I I would wanna know what the numbers were. I would try to figure it out. I'm gonna tell you, I would not be able to figure this out. There's n like, it
I wouldn't even know where to start.
yeah, because I would think things too, like the date or things like that. I would definitely categorize the whole thing. I would analyze the shit out of it. I would never find the answer.
I would be like, "Okay, there's 3 slips of paper with 18 whatever on it. There's 10 pieces of paper with this other number. I don't know what this means. I don't know what you want me from me with this. Like, is this supposed to be some sort of code that leads me I need to use a book to decipher? I don't know. Is it dates? I don't know. I got nothing."
Yeah. No, it's very fair. This is a very and it's a lot of numbers. So it's like, yeah, I would not be able to figure this one out. But back at Colony House, Henry is up in Victor's room and Victor walks in. Henry was looking for him and figured he'd wait up there. And there's like a little kid car thing that a kid would ride in. And Henry mentions, like, oh, I haven't seen one of these in a long time. And Victor tells him, like, one of the saddest stories. Victor says it belonged to Miss Davis. She bought it for her son. Her son was very sick, and he saw the car in the back of a magazine, so she drove far away to buy one from the only store that still sold them. She said her son didn't have very long, and she knew the car would make him smile, but she saw the tree before she got home, and she died a long time ago, and Victor says he guesses her son is dead too.
It's a horrible story.
It's like, yeah, yeah, and just the dryness of Victor telling it is just like, oh my god. So during this conversation, though, Victor is going around and like grabbing things around his room, and Henry's like, "Hey, I was hoping that you could show me around today," but Victor's like, "Actually, I got something real important to do." And Henry's like, "Oh, okay, because well, can I come along?" And Victor's like, "No, I don't think that's a good idea." And then Henry's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll just get out of your way then." And like one of the sweetest moments, Victor stops him and tells him, like, "Look, it's very dangerous what I have to do, and I don't want you to get hurt, but you could walk with me for a bit if you want."
I love that he's trying to keep his dad safe.
Yeah. No, it is very sweet. And it's very, I feel like this is a big change for Victor. That he is just, I think he's got something to lose now. Before he didn't.
Well, and he's also opening up as well, because like, before he would just been like, "No."
Yeah.
And instead, he's, like, giving a reason for the no, and then even saying, like, "You can walk with me. Like, I don't want you to come inside with me, but, like, you can walk me there."
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll get more out of Victor.
Right? I'm loving it. So at the clinic, Mary is checking on the medicine cabinet, which when I saw this scene after Beans's last comment about how like she's the most well-adjusted drug addict ever, I was like, she should probably not be in the medicine cabinet, huh? Like that's probably wrong for like
Yeah.
her just recovering.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little too soon. It's not that we can't ever trust you again, just maybe in 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years. No one survives that long and from.
Then she better get real good at surviving or just understand that she's not doing any oh my god, never mind. Fuck that word.
Cataloging of drugs,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
agreed.
Chrissy's got a bum leg, but like she could have figured that out. And, like,
They could have gotten an intern. There's plenty of people just wandering the town constantly.
right?
It can't be that bum. She's hobbling around every which way sometimes, so she could stand there and do it.
We could get her a stool.
I
She's
was
been
just gonna say,
fine.
pull up a chair, it's fine.
Kenny is bringing in the last of the supplies from the ambulance, and she's like, I'm gonna go take him downstairs. Kenny offers to help, and she's like, you've done plenty. You should go home and get some rest. So Kenny's like, okay, and he heads back outside, and he runs across Boyd, and Boyd asks if he's okay. Kenny's like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't really want to talk about it right now, which is fair. I mean, he probably should talk to somebody, but he's been through so much. I'm
I
not gonna push that boy.
Yeah, I love how, like, when people first come to From, basically everyone's like, "You need to move on, your life is dead. Like, this is your life now. There's no time to mourn. just go swim at the Brundles and get over it. But then, like, when his mom dies or his dad dies, everyone's like, "You need to talk about it. You need to be like, this is how you should grieve." And it's like, just let people grieve the way they want to grieve. People like leave them alone.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such sometimes, making
Yeah.
choices around this place. So Boyd heads into the clinic at that point. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, go on, Kenny." And he can see like Randall is still like laying in the bed and he's in a lot of pain with a big old bandage on his cheek. And Boyd walks in and looks at him, and you can tell that Boyd is still feeling a lot of guilt for what happened. Um but at that point, Christy, talking about Christy hobbling around, she calls his name and she's out there on some crutches. And he, you know, she tells him like Randall is doing better. And she also tells him that the ambulance was fully stocked and that it had a portable ultrasound on board. And that he should tell Fatima to stop by so they can take a look at her little nugget. And Boyd says that he will, and please don't mention that I came by, but that it's really good news about the ultrasound, and he heads out of the clinic. He feels a lot of guilt. But like again, that was your only option, but I do understand feeling guilt. So back at Colony House with Fatima and Ellis in their bedroom, because now Ellis knows that Fatima is at least eating rotten fruit or rotten vegetables. Um Ellis tells Fatima, like, look, we have to go talk to Christy. And Fatima really doesn't want to. But Ella says there has to be some sort of medical explanation, and Fatima is still arguing, like, how can there be? And, like, look, she doesn't want everyone looking at her the way that Ellis is looking at her now, like he's afraid of her. And he comforts her and says, like, I'm not afraid of you. This is not your fault, and whatever is happening, we're going to get help. And then Fatima's like, well, maybe it'll just stop. Maybe it'll go away. Wait,
That's usually
no.
what happens with demon babies and eating blood and rotten food. It just passes. It's just a phase.
To be so honest, it's one thing for the rotten veg. It's another that you ate some cadaver blood.
Which she hasn't disclosed yet, right?
I think so. I don't think she's telling anybody that secret.
I mean, I wouldn't be telling anybody that secret, so I get it.
I stuck my fingers in a dead body, in a dead woman's bullet holes, and ate the blood. Nah, I'm gonna take that one to the grave.
And it was delicious.
It was so good, hit the spot.
Best thing I've ever eaten.
Probably low on iron.
Yeah, that's probably it. It's the only reason.
So at this point, Boyd knocks on their door, and he tells them, "Hey, I got some good news." And Alice is like, "Give me a second." And he goes to comfort Fatima and to tell her like he is just as scared as her, but they can't do this alone. And you can still see she's kind of worrying with it, and Boyd's like, "Hey, if this is a bad time," and she's like, and she calls out, "No, it's fine." And they open the door for Boyd, and he can clearly tell that something is going on. And Ellis tells him, "Come in," because they're gonna loop Boyd in, which I think is a good decision. So, out at the pool, Donna is bringing stones and covering up the area where Dale's body is. And Tabitha walks up and says she heard about what happened and she's sorry. And she asks if they were close, and Donna says he was a pain in my ass for almost 2 years. He had some good moments, though. He would have loved her hauling stones across town. The only thing he would have liked better is if she left him to rot so he could ruin everyone's breakfast every morning. And Tabitha tells her, like, I was at the tree when he went through. He was just trying to help. And Donna says, like, she's sure he had some, shitty remark on his way out, which he did. And they share a little laugh. And, Donna asks Tabitha, like, hey, are you okay after the meeting? It was rough. And Tabitha tells her, like, everyone expects her to have all the answers, and she feels like she let them down, like she let her family down. But Donna tells her, like, your kids thought you were dead, and they don't need answers from you. They just need you back. And Tabitha asks, like, what if people at the meeting were right? What if she wasted the only opportunity they're going to get? And Donna says, like, you see Dale down there? You went through the same tree that could be you down there. That could have been you. And, you don't need to be a hero. Go spend time with your kids because you're lucky to be here still. Don't take that for granted. And I think Tabitha needed to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Tabitha gives Donna a hug and she tells her, "I'm sorry you lost your friend." And I think Donna needed that. I
Donna's gotten a few hugs in the show, and every time, I think she just needs about 5 more.
right? So Donna tears up a little bit and she says, "Okay, back to work," because Donna's a tough lady. And she tells Tabitha to tell her kids, that I said hi, and because she's Grandma Donna. Uh, and she goes back to throwing rocks into the bottom of that pool to build the little Dale wall cover. But she's mad at him. You can tell she's mad at Dale,
Yeah.
which understandable. So out in the woods, Victor and Henry are walking, and Victor has told him like what he's going to do. And Henry is asking some questions about it, and he says, "So you're going down in the tunnels where those things live?" And Victor tells him like, "I don't want to, but I have to." And Henry asks, "Because there's something down there that's going to help people?" Victor says, "It's going to save them, and it'll save you too." So like again, Victor finally has like before he gave zero shits about leaving this place, but now he wants to save his dad. And which I think is very sweet because he couldn't, even though he was a child, I think in Victor's mind he feels like he couldn't save his mom and his sister, especially his sister, because he was the older brother and he should have saved her. Not that that's right, but that's what I think he feels.
Yeah.
And so they get to the entrance of the tunnel, and Victor tells Henry, like, "Okay, you gotta go now. Do you remember the way back?" And Henry's like, "Nope, I'm going with you." And Victor's like, "I don't know that's not really a good idea." But Henry tells him, like, "I just got you back. I'm not losing you again." And I think they both feel that way. But Henry tells him, like, "If you're going to do this, we're going to do it together." So Victor pulls out like this little tin of little army men, and Henry asks what they're for, and Victor says it's so we don't get lost. So it's kind of like his version of string, but I think string is a much better option.
B I said the same thing. I was like, "I don't love this option because those things can be moved without them, like, knowing about it."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I guess string could be cut and things. Like, there's other
Yeah.
things that could happen, but like, yeah. Mm-mm. So, but Victor is who Victor is, and Victor tells him, "Okay, follow close and be really, really quiet." And they head into the tunnel. So back at Colony House, Ellis and Fatima have told Boyd what's going on, and Ellis says that they have seen things here that don't make sense, and these cravings may be just an effect of this place on a pregnancy, which is true. I mean, they've never seen a pregnancy here before. Um, so it doesn't have to mean that something is wrong with the baby, right? And Boyd tells him, "Well, Christy has an ultrasound machine. It came in on the ambulance, and that's actually why I came to talk to you." And Fatima's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And Ellis asks Boyd to leave the room for like give them a second, and he heads out of the room. But you can tell like Boyd was being strong in that room, but he's like, "Fuck." He's like, "Oh no, this is not good," and he's very worried. And so Fatima tells Ellis like, I don't want to see it," and Ellis tells her like, "We can't just hope that this is going to get better. We're currently in the dark, and they're going, we got to go do this." And Fatima breaks down a little bit. She just wants to know that it's going to be okay, and Ellis holds her and comforts her. So it'll be so tough. I mean, Fatima has just been through it, even though she's doing some crazy stuff right now. I mean, I cannot imagine. And I think, like I said, I mean, her mood swings and shifts and stuff, like at the town meeting and things like that. It's all because she just wants to know that her baby's okay. Because she finally like accepted, like, yeah, I have a baby, and I've got to, and now she's like, I got to protect this
Yeah.
in any way I can. So back at the clinic, Randall is finally awake, and Mary comes in to check on him and change the bandages. Randall says it's fine, and she's like, "Look, dude, you do not want to get an infection here." And so Randall lets her, and he sits up, and you can tell he's like really in a lot of pain. So she starts with the one on his throat, which I like, yikes. That one was still very deep. I don't know why it doesn't have stitches. I would have assumed a gash like that would have stitches, but okay.
Well, not only it did, I agree, it looked like it needed stitches, it was deep, but, like, if you're trying to send a message and have someone survive it, I would not gash someone's throat because I feel
Mm,
like that's a very risky spot for them to die, like, bleed out anyway.
that's very true. That is very true. Um,
Or,
and then
like,
the
just flay
one,
his arms a little bit.
yeah, just a little, yeah, no, the throat. I mean, the one on the mouth was good enough. Like that thing, they
Yeah.
ripped his mouth from like the corner of his mouth to his ear.
Yeah,
That
not a good look.
no,
But
no.
also, when we watched it, I did say, "That's gonna be a badass scar if that heals."
Right? I know, right? I was thinking that too. I'm like, you're gonna look pretty dope. I mean, like, I get it. People are gonna, look at you and stuff, but like that scar's gonna be pretty cool.
Yep.
um, so yeah, so Mary, like you said, she takes those bandages off and she tells him like there's no sign of infection and the stitches are holding well. There's going to be a lot of bruising, a lot of discomfort. And Randall says he wants to see it. So Mary goes and gets him a mirror and she hands it to him and he asks, like, can you give me a minute? And she walks off. And he gets up the courage to look at his face and it is rough. I think he's mad. He's mad, and that's understandable. He's living in a nightmare world and he's basically being used as an example for the people by the monster. So I get why he would be upset.
Also, to make note that this is, like, one of the first not the first, but one of the first times he really stuck his neck out.
True. That's such a good point.
So I can almost bet he will be very reluctant to help out in the future.
Yeah. Nope, that's a very good point. I mean, no, he has been helpful before too. Like he was one of the
Yeah.
people who ran into the house when
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
why I say
happened.
not the very first time, but it's w it there's, like, a difference between, "Oh, I'm a helpful citizen," to, "Oh my god, if I don't do anything, those people are gonna fucking die," to where this was a calculated risk versus the others that are like, "Oh, man, the danger now." Whereas, like, yes, this is, like, suspenseful danger, but this is a, "I'm going to go alone. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to retrieve the item we need."
And with the monsters already out and nearby, whereas, like, going into the house, it's like, "Oh, they said this woman's
Mhm.
in a hole in the ground. I'm not really in danger. I'm just gonna help them get her out."
True.
Right. He's always been
Yeah,
from a
because
position of safety versus this time it wasn't.
yeah, because even, like, when he opened the door for Sarah and Julie and Ethan, he was still at the bus. Like, he was still kind of in a safe space, where this, he, like, fully left. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think he'll be way more I don't know how you get more standoffish, but
But also, like, even if it wasn't because of Boyd, if you can even say this was because of Boyd, he was already surrounded, but even if it wasn't a situation where he could put blame on Boyd for it, I could see him just being like, "Oh, I put myself at risk
Mhm.
and I got burned because of it. I'm not gonna do that again."
yeah. No, I think it's a good point. Back at the Matthews house, which I'm so sad that I started calling it the Matthews house after this scene because I was like, oh, damn, I'm an asshole too. Kenny goes to the kitchen and he's looking for something, but it's clearly been moved. He goes outside and sees Julie and she's out there smoking some weed. And Kenny asks, like, what are you doing? And she's like, you're not going to tell my parents, are you? And he tells her, like, if you get caught, I was never here. And then she asks, like, you want some? He's like, don't push it. This is very cute. I love them. They're very, like, he gives, like, such good big brother energy.
Yeah, I love Kenny.
Yeah. And he asks about like a junk drawer that's in the kitchen because he's looking for a screwdriver. And Julie says her dad probably moved it like because he moves stuff around when he gets anxious. and she apologizes and she's like, with my mom gone, I didn't even think about it. And Kenny's like, no, 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 it's fine, which is so fucked up. I think I can't remember who pointed it out when we were watching the show, but one of you pointed out that that Julie like felt like she had to be a parent to her dad too and make sure he wasn't moving stuff and messing things up. Ugh, poor Julie. And but Kenny's like, "No, it's fine. It's no big deal." He's gonna go, check the dining room, and she just, just he tells her just keep the smoking under wraps. But this does affect Kenny. Like you can tell it bothers him a little bit, and he goes to the shrine of his mom and his dad in the dining room, and I think it's all hitting him a little bit. Which fair. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
if
it's not only that he's lost both parents, but it's like their memories are already being erased.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's uh, poor Kenny. So Henry and Victor are down in the caves, and Victor is placing like his little army men, and they find the big open space where Victor had seen Jasper before, right? And the whole chamber was full before, but like now it's completely empty. And Henry says, "Well, like maybe we took a wrong turn," but Victor's like, "Nope, I know." And Henry's like, maybe we should go back. And Victor's like, no, we have to go deeper. Like this is super important. And he's like, I'm not leaving without Jasper. And it's important, and we will be okay. Which, like, oh, maybe don't say those things.
Yeah, I don't love it because maybe you won't be okay, and then you're just gonna feel guilt if your dad dies.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
stressing. I was stressing a lot.
Oh, I know
I
you and
I
me
was
both were.
stressed. I was stressed that whole time. The whole time. I was like, "Not Henry, I can't take another dad death.
Right. Oh no, it would be another poor little old man moment. We don't need those.
I don't need to mourn
Stop
another
giving us
sweet
those.
little old man."
Right? Oh, yeah, no, I want Henry to live. Like, we gotta have Henry live. Victor has to live. Kenny has to live. Like, there are people like, you can't kill these people. They've been through too
Jim
much.
needs to die.
There's a few that I'm like, they could go, if I'm honest. But Randall definitely won't at this point. There's no way Randall's gonna die at this point. Those
Not for a
monsters aren't
while,
gonna
at
attack
least.
him. Yeah, like unless it's something other than the monsters are gonna leave him alone because like it's too much fun for them to see him cut up.
Right.
So, but Victor and Henry go deeper into the tunnels. Back at Colony House, Ellis comes outside and Boyd's out there, and Fatima is coming, but she just needed a minute. And inside, Elgin has his Polaroid, and he's taking pictures of people. And he takes one of Fatima coming down the stairs, and he tells her like, "I'm making a Colony House photo album, and I'm gonna put it on a collage at the wall, and like if you want to check it out." And she's just like, "What?" And so she leaves, and poor Elgin though, he's just trying, man. He's trying his best for things to be nice. He never has a good go of it. But she goes out to Ellis and Boyd, and she doesn't want to say anything to Christy until they have to. And she asks if Boyd is coming, and he says whatever you guys need. So again, she wants to keep her veg secret safe and under wraps. So now we go see Jade out in the forest at the second bottle tree. And Tom shows up again. Tom, we love Tom. And
Jade
Tom,
doesn't.
Jade does not. Though Jade, you can tell Jade kind of does a little bit because he like smiles a lot when he's talking to Tom because I think he feels a
Yeah.
little crazy.
But like when he first showed up, he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I think he's like exasperated more than like mad. But
Yeah.
Tom tells him, like, it's ironic, right? A drunk looking for answers in a tree full of bottles. And Jade asks Tom, like, because Tom's there, like, wiping a glass, and he's like, why are you wiping a glass? And Tom tells him, like, a man does what a man does. And Tom asks him, like, do you really think this place is going to tell him anything? And Jade says he thinks this place has a design. He doesn't think anything is here by accident. But Tom tells him like maybe that's your problem. And he says nature has a design, but this is not nature. It's just someone or it's just something someone put there. Sure it might mean something, maybe. It was something someone made because they thought it meant something. Maybe that someone's like you, just looking for answers, trying to figure things out. And here he is puzzling over it like it's part of the original design. And Jade tells him like, no, Miranda had visions of this place, she had visions of these trees. You don't have visions of things that don't mean anything. Well, then Tom's like, well, what about what you saw? The Civil War soldier, the guy crushed by the rock in the root cellar. Jade's like, no, 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 those are different. And Tom asks him how so, and Jade says, "Okay, fine. Maybe it's all garbage. Maybe it's a giant waste of time. Like, are you going to help me get these down or what?" And Tom tells him, "I need to finish wiping this glass first." And then Tom asks him like, "Are you mad at me?" And Jade says, "I'm a little annoyed." And Tom tells him like, "You should work on that. The Jade that built a multi-million-dollar company when everyone said he shouldn't. That guy had thicker skin. Maybe if you really want to beat this place, maybe you should sober up and give that guy a call." And at this point, Tom is gone, and Jade screams into the universe, "There's a nicer way to make your point. But, like, he's not wrong. But I also think they aren't giving enough credit to Jade's visions. Because they kind of dismissed them there, where he's like, those are different, right? Miranda's stuff was real. Those are different. I think there's something to those as well. They just
Yeah,
haven't figured it out.
I would agree with that.
So, but I do agree that Jade probably does need to sober up a little.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt.
But I do, yeah, I do, yeah. I like that he was like, hey, so I really don't want to climb this tree either. So I know you're dead and a vision, but why don't you climb the tree?
He's
Jada's
really trying to get anybody to climb tree.
anybody. So back at the Matthews house, Ethan is reading a book, and Tabitha comes in and she asks, like, what are you doing? And he tells her it's a book that Tien Chen had. And they have a little moment, and Tabitha asks where Julie is, and Julie says he doesn't know. She went for a walk. She's probably out smoking weed. Um, and delinquent youth. Ethan asks if Tian Chen is with her husband now, and Tabitha says she hopes so. And then he asks, like, do you think they were happy when they got married? And Tabitha's like, I'm sorry that you heard the fight last night. They're just trying to do their best. And then Ethan hits her with just a rough one. And he tells her, I liked it here better when we first got here because everyone was so scared there was no time to be angry. And that he wishes it could be like that again. Oh.
Well, don't you worry, Ethan. Demon Land's working on it. It's brewing up some other bullshit. I can feel it in my bones.
Is coming your way, young man.
Terror in a theater near you.
Ethan asks, like, what's Jade doing at the bar? Because, like, that's why you guys were fighting, right? And Tabitha tells him, well, he's trying to figure out a puzzle. And Ethan loves a puzzle, so he gets a little pumped about that. But Tabitha hears some noises from upstairs, and she asks Ethan, like, do you hear that? Is there anyone up there? And he's like, no. And I don't think he hears it. This is very much something only she hears. And she heads up the stairs and then she hears it. She hears that in Cooey and she sees those kids and she's like, I tried to help you guys. Like I tried to help you. And they, why are you here? Leave us alone. And they start surrounding her again because they love to do that. And Ethan calls out to her and it breaks her out of her vision. And he's like, was it the kids again? So, like, at least he knows about that vision. And then he's like, can we leave the house? And she's like, yeah, you know what? Yes, let's get out. Like, right now. So, Donna is finishing up Dale's wall cover. And Kenny comes up and says, it's really nice of her to do that for him. And Donna says, he would have hated it. Oh, great. A pile of rocks is all I get. And And Kenny tells her it's not just rocks, it's dignity. Everyone deserves that. And if anybody knows that, it's him at this point. And she tells him like you don't have to be here. You've already been through enough. And Kenny's like, actually, there's something I want to ask you about. Is there extra space for me up at the colony house? And his mom was the only reason ever felt that house ever felt like a home, and it was meant for a family, and she would have wanted them to have it.
And I
And
think she would have, yeah.
she would have, absolutely, absolutely.
Tien.
I know. Ugh, best parents in the whole place. We just are doomed forever with the rest of these people.
Yeah.
Donna tells him, "We always have room for you." Kenny asks, "You're not still throwing those sex parties up there, are you?" And Donna laughs and she's like, "Go pack your stuff before I change my mind."
I mean, that was maybe my second question. My first question was like, is Kenny gonna get a spot on the stairs to sleep or one of the chairs in the living room? Because,
Right.
like, where's he gonna sleep?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're already get paid. So, like, up at Colony House, Fatima and Ellis have like their whole entire own room. Donna absolutely has her own room. Dale had his own room. Oh, I guess there's an open space. Get rooms and some people don't, and it's like, how does that choice get made?
It's Donna's favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kenny's definitely getting his own room.
100%. And there's no way he's not getting his own room. But Jade is over at the bar with like the big old list of numbers. And Tabitha and Ethan come in, and she told Ethan like they could help with Jade's puzzle because she's like, hey, he's like, I'm kind of busy. And she's like, yeah, no, I told Ethan we could help, and he's like, oh yeah, you like puzzles, little buddy? I like
He got
that,
so
Jade.
excited. Oh, he was so sweet about it.
Yeah, it was so nice. And Ethan's like, yeah, and he's like, great. Cause like this is a whole lot, this just got a whole lot more interesting. And Tabitha asks how, and he tells her about the second bottle tree, and he tells her that the numbers in the bottles are all the same. There are some placements that are different, but the second tree was written in cursive. But the actual numbers, if you line them up side by side, are exactly the same, and some of them repeat over and over again. Um, Jade does not know what it means yet, but he is increasingly optimistic that somewhere in these dates, in these numbers, is a key to something they need to understand. And Jade asks Ethan like if he wants to help him find it. And Ethan gets all excited and happy. It's very cute. I love this. So back at the clinic, Randall is rebandaged and Mary is giving him supplies like so he can rebandage himself and some cream so he doesn't get infected. And he asks her, "Why are you pretending to be okay?" And she asks like, "Are you talking about Nikki?" And he says, "No, you know what I'm talking about." And she tells him, "Hey, just change the bandages." She does not want to talk about this. And Randall tells her, "You can pretend all you want, but you were there, same as me. What if it's not over?" And Mary says whatever happened to them wasn't, and Randall cuts her off and says, "Real? What the fuck is real anymore?" And he says it's probably easy for her in this place because she gets to go to sleep next to someone every night and she can pretend like everything's okay. But it's not like that out on the bus. He doesn't get to pretend. It's fucking terrifying. And Mary tells him then, so don't go back to the bus. We have room here. Go get your stuff. No one here has to be alone. And she walks out, and Randall starts to tear up a little bit. So I think that was really sweet. I think that I'm hoping that this opens him a little bit, but I don't know that it will.
Yeah, hopefully it gives the ability for him to make a bond with Mary and maybe even Christy, but also, like, dude, you had a whole bus yourself and you fumbled that. You could have put up curtains. You could have taken more seats out and made it into a home. You didn't. I'm judging a little bit.
Beans, I'm leaving space for you to talk.
No, I was gonna say, I was like, this was actually probably a really smart decision on Mary's part. Like, not even for like just Mary, but for like the town as a whole. Because like leaving him in the state that he is, like, with the negativity and shit, he's basically malignant. You know what I mean? So, him feeling like he belongs somewhere and been offered that olive branch, I think it will tame him down a little bit as far as, like, his attitude. Maybe not necessarily towards Boyd, and I don't blame him because he doesn't know the whole situation. He doesn't know that there was a monster standing there dangling keys in his face going, "Nah, nah, nah." You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't know that. So, I think that this is probably, like, honestly, kind of the first time anyone other than kind of Colony House, kinda, but that he was offered any kind of actual kindness. Like Colony House tried, and that's why I say kinda, like, it wasn't their fault. He was standoffish, he was new, he didn't understand anything. Now he understands things a little better, and this is kinda other than when him and Boyd kinda started to tag team up, I feel like he is just he's a delinquent youth. He just wants to belong somewhere, and I think that's what he's kind of struggling with mostly.
Yeah, because he's basically been put in isolation at this point, right? You are in the bus by yourself. You're not, other than like a little buddy cop moments with Jim that didn't work out well, and Boyd and things. Like he has been by himself, and that's rough.
Yeah. So I think
So
like
I
Mary's
agree.
specific wording of no one here has to be alone, I think that that's going to mean a lot to him. So like it's easy to look at this character and go, "Man, this guy sucks. He's just awful." Right? But I really do think like if you actually psychoanalyze Randall's character just a little bit, he was alone on the bus. He was alone traveling somewhere. He was alone for a long time. He was upset because people were going through his things. He was then isolated and then he got kidnapped alone. You know what I mean? So he's probably felt very alone this whole time.
And he was also the only one that woke up with no one with him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm. No. So yeah, I think this olive branch was beautiful from Mary. And hopefully, we can see what that does for him. So, back in the tunnels, you guys are just clutching your pearls, waiting for things to happen to poor Victor and Henry. Um, but they're still putting down those army men.
Listen, this show has
And
not given me a lot of faith.
no, I don't blame you. I was scared for them too. I was scared for them too. Um, But they're still putting down the army men, and Henry asks Victor, like, how many more those do you have? And he only really has like two or three of them left, and he's like, we'll be fine. Victor, I need you to bring back the truth a little bit. um, and Henry again wants to turn around, and Victor's like, it's not much further. How does he know? And Henry is worried about them getting lost here, but Victor is like, nope, we're going. And they get to a spot where they see a table. And all of like that stuff that was in the other room is now moved here. And Jasper is sitting at the table in one of the chairs. And there's also like a sleeping monster like right next to that. And Victor goes in and he does tell his dad like shh, be quiet. And Henry does for a minute. And Victor picks up Jasper. But Henry follows him in there, and he sees something that was Miranda's, and he starts talking. He's like, "Why? This was your mother's." And Victor like puts his hand over Henry's mouth, but the monster starts moving, and Victor's like, "We gotta go." But he looks up, and one of the monsters, like the housewife monster, is there, and she starts talking to him, and she says, Victor, if you keep coming down here, one of these days we'll have to make you stay." And Victor's like, "We gotta go."
Time to go.
Yeah, and they start booking it back down the tunnel. But they can hear like the monster screeching behind them. But how wild is that?
Well, and what was interesting too was that, like, usually when the monsters are asleep in there, they're in their monster form. She, when she started talking to him, was in full human form, so it's like, was she aware of them the whole time? Was she awake and just wanted to make that cute little sassy comment on the way out? Just like, "Let me fuck with your minds a little bit?"
Yeah, I think so. Wild. So good old Victor plot armor though. Thank God. Keep that plot armor.
Yeah, please.
Don't you kill baby boy Victor.
That was, like, the one thing I said, though, when they were down there. I was like, "I'm not worried about Victor, he got plot armor. I'm worried about Henry."
Yeah, I feel like they gotta at least keep Henry around for a few more episodes, otherwise, what was the point in bringing him there besides just a stab in the gut, which is something, but I don't think it's enough of a reason to have invented this whole character and arc.
No,
So,
I think there's so much more to Victor and Henry's story.
yeah, I agree.
I thought that about Tien Chen.
Oh,
Uh,
poor T and Chen.
yeah,
We miss you. Uh,
always in our hearts.
yeah.
They
So
come with you, remember?
they do. Oh no. Ah. So Julie is out by the bus and she sees Randall packing up his stuff and she asks him like, "Are you moving out?" And he says, "Yeah, I found a sweet little condo down the road, ocean views, indoor gym." And she's like, "Where are you really going?" And he said, "Well, Marielle said I could stay at the clinic." And Julie asks how she's doing, and Randall says like she's acting like nothing happened. And Randall asks her, like, "How are you doing?" She's like, "I get stoned a lot and it helps." And Randall asks if she's got anything on her now, and she pulls out the little pack, so I'm sure they're going to go get stoned together. Which, like,
Love that for him,
I
though,
mean, he's
making
got a giant
friends.
injury, right?
Trauma bonding.
Oh, that is 100% trauma bonding right there.
Yeah. But hey, if you can get high, do it. And that's what I would be doing there, because what else are you gonna do? I don't wanna be alone with my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck that. Nope. Nope. Look, we spend half the day getting high, we spend the other half the day trying to figure stuff out. Like,
Right.
in what order? Who
I was
knows?
gonna I was about to ask, which order are we doing this? Because I don't know. I feel like it depends on the day, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some days we like, we want to just get a little crazy. So we smoke the
Hey,
weed first.
it might help to open your mind a little bit before trying to do some weird ass number puzzles.
I mean, Jade's over there getting drunk as hell, and it's kind of working for him a little bit. Maybe.
Is it?
Mm,
Maybe.
debatable.
Not gonna say anything, but, like, I don't know about that.
More data needed.
I think Tom's telling him, or whoever was telling him to get sober was probably saying it for a reason.
His inner monologue was telling him to get
Yeah.
sober in the form of a bartender.
Yeah, I trust your inner voice there.
Yeah, yeah. No, Jade does need to sober up. Hey, he can go California sober. He can get some of that weed. And we're back to Victor and Henry. They have made it out of the tunnels. And they are at Victor's peach truck. And Henry is still freaking out. Like that thing, the voice, and Victor's like, "No, no, no, we're safe now." And Henry asks him like, "Why did they have Miranda's things?" And Victor's like, "I don't know. They like to take things." Which, like, I mean, it is kind of weird. Why do they have like a little room set up, you know?
And why did they move at all? Like, it's
Yeah.
they're redecorating, I get that, but, like,
Well, because like I guess I would think that they move further into tunnels, but to me that tells me that that stuff is important to them, right? So it's almost to me like when Smiley went to the bus and sat down and had that moment of like kind of enjoying, playing with something. Is that the same thing with like stuff from the town that they take, like that they're kind of, because Christy says they were human once, right? So because of like because when they autopsied Smiley. So is it just kind of this like way of kind of them feeling human by having these things? I don't know. But Henry asks like about the truck and Victor tells him like, "Oh, I come here now when it gets too loud sometimes, but I used to hide here before the people came." And Henry is still wrapping his head around what Victor had to go through. And he starts crying a little bit. And Victor goes up and he's like, "No, no, no, it's okay. We have Jasper now. Like we can save people because Jasper knows things." Like Victor heard Jasper tell Christopher a story about this place once, and they have to make him tell it again. And Henry's like, "It's just a toy," and Victor's like, "We'll make him tell it again."
we're gonna torture this doll until it talks.
uh, so back at the clinic, Christy is giving Fatima the ultrasound, and she tells her that, it shouldn't be based like the size of an acorn at this point, so keep your expectations in check. And they start the ultrasound, and Christy can't find anything. And Fatima freaks out a little bit, and she says, "What do you mean?" And Christy tells her, like, "You're not pregnant." And Fatima says, "No, that's impossible. Like, you need to keep looking." And Christy's like, "I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you." But they do look again, and she shows her, and there's nothing there. Um and Fatima says, like, "There's something inside of me. I need you to find it." And like, "There's nowhere else to look." And Ellis is like, "We need to tell them." And they're like, "Tell us what?" So back at Colony House, Lauren kind of called this one. Elgin is hanging up the Polaroids that he took, and he looks at the one with Fatima, and all of a sudden the kimono lady appears in the picture behind Fatima, and she also appears in the real world behind him, and she grabs him and tells him to help her. She can save all of them. She can help them get back home. At this point, Clara walks in, and Elgin is snapped out of it, and she asks, like, "Are you all right?" And he says, "I'm fine." That boy is never fine. And she's like, "I like your collage." And he looks at the picture again, and the kimono lady is gone.
I actually in this moment
Yay.
during the when she was like, "I can help you all get out," blah 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 blah, my frame of thinking of Demon Land completely changed. Like, thought of this was, this is not a place that kidnaps people. This is a prison. Whatever this place is doing, it is keeping them in. Not necessarily the people, how unfortunate for you, but ew. As soon as she said that, I was like, this place is designed to keep them in.
Yeah, that very well could be. Well, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to throw something at you. Every time we can, is this like Sarah? Is this a thing in this space telling somebody, "We can get you home if you do something, if you help me"? But a different version of it, right? So instead of just hearing voices and getting weird veiny arm messages, he's getting kimono lady. Is it just because he is a sensitive person like Sarah was, and he is open and susceptible to this kind of like pressure from this place?
Well, so, but yeah, probably. But I think that like I said, like it didn't occur to me when it was happening to Sarah, but why would the monsters be interested in helping them get home unless it created a door for them to get out and into the real world too?
Theories on this, but I won't talk about them until our like after season 3 finale episode, because that's interesting. Because I have some theories on why they're trying to push them. But yeah, no, it's very interesting because it's a good question of like why would they be trying to help them with quotes around the word help.
Yeah.
No, that
But
is
I
a
think
very good question.
I think with Sarah's situation and the Ankui children, I think those 2 are related. There's gotta be a reason why specifically Ethan. They wanted specifically Ethan. We see a whole bunch of ghost kids. It's probably related in some way, shape, or form, and I feel like this kimono lady is probably going to say something of a very similar nature that they said to Sarah. You have to kill kids because that's always the fun thing to do is kill children, and maybe it has something to do with
Mm,
Fatima's not so baby, um, in particular.
okay. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see where this heads because there's a lot going on. But we have one last scene in the episode. Back at the bar, Jade and Ethan are working on the puzzle and they're looking for clues, noticing patterns, numbers that are backwards, repeating numbers. And Jade says, like, if they can figure out the pattern, they can figure out the shape. And then Jade goes over to Tabitha and he tells her, whatever those kids are, they aren't going to hurt you. And she asks how he knows that. And he tells her, like, they want her help, and she's like, "I don't know that. That's based on like a dead woman's vision 40 years ago." And then she's like looking through Jade's drawings and she sees that Jade drew the effigies. And she asks, like, "What's this?" And Jade tells her, like, "Oh, there's some, like, out at the settlement, there's these statues, and, like, I think they're protective, maybe." And we cut to a scene of a little girl, and Tabitha, like, starts describing that scene, and she's like, "There's 3 red stones, right?" And she asks, like, "Jade, did you see the 3 red stones? They were in a circle." And he's like, How do you know that?" And she says, and in the memory, we see the little girl hiding behind one of the stones and then, like, looking up and then screaming at something. And Tabitha tells Jade when she was a little girl, she would have the same nightmare over and over again. It wasn't just Miranda. She saw this place too. Tabitha saw this place too. She just didn't know it. And that's the end of the episode.
And that is wild, just knowing that she's been somehow connected to this place basically her entire life. It brings the question, has everybody been connected in some way to this place already?
And that's the thing. So, like, I want to point something out that kind of didn't trigger to me until this rewatch. Boyd's wife stood in the road and kept and told Ellis when she was like staring off. I just was
Oh,
remembering a dream I
yeah.
had as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, shit. You're
Like,
right.
yeah, so, like, how many people are really connected to this place or, like, having a vision or we're, like, destined to be at this place for some reason or another? And
How
then,
many
like,
people and why?
yeah, and then, like, are certain other people caught up in it? Are they all destined? Or, like, because, you know, because Tabitha has these visions and had these things since childhood and, like, a very similar path to Miranda, did that, like, set her family to also be trapped here even though they aren't necessarily connected in that same way? Same thing with Boyd. Like, were Boyd and Ellis ever gonna end up in this place if it wasn't for, Abby having those dreams and being connected to this place from her youth, you know? So it's a really interesting, like, why some people.
I think if this place is sophisticated enough to have been connected to people their entire lives, I think everyone is there on purpose. I think it would know, oh, Tabby's going to be driving on Wednesday by herself. I can just grab her
Mm,
then.
that's
Like,
fair.
there are multiple times that it could have changed things. Like, yeah, I think it's all. I don't think it's made any mistake like that. Or if it did, like maybe se episode 1, season 1, maybe that's why Toby had to die, is 'cause he wasn't supposed to be there for some reason, but he was.
Bus is wild though, right? The bus is wild to think that all of those people are connected, but we've already seen like Elgin and the visions and stuff, and then Bacta with like the her grandmother's nursery rhyme. So there are these little tangential connections.
Yeah, I think it might be one of those things where time is not linear to this place, and therefore it knew, like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring in this bus at this time, so all of these people, I'm gonna start giving them stuff when they were a kid to give them little
Some
clues throughout their entire lives of what
some
to do."
Final Destination shenanigans there.
Yeah, pretty much. Why not?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that we
We
would
better
like
see
some
some
answers to.
effigies, though, in this next episode.
We
I
shall
demand
see.
effigy.
I need some cabin lore.
We've got a lot of questions going on. So we've got the effigies. We don't know what the creature at the cabin is. We don't know what's going on with Fatima's mystery baby. That I 100% agree that there is something in Fatima. whether,
Yes.
whether they can see it on an ultrasound or not, she's not wrong. There's something in her. Um, we've got Kimono Lady with poor Elgin. We've got the whatever is still going on with Julie Randall and Mary. I mean, there's a lot. And we still like the bottle tree and Jade figuring out the numbers.
I will say for, like, the ultrasound machine no, Fatima's right, something 100% is inside her. But I will also say in real life, my mom was an ultrasound tech, and I know as a matter of fact that, yes, the portable ultrasound machines, they're nice, but they are not ever nearly as efficient as an actual one that's in a hospital. They're never as clear because they are portable, they are meant to be carried around and thrown around. And like I think Mary said it, it'll be about the size of an acorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. So cuz she's what, like 20 weeks along or something? I don't know how long pregnancies take. I've
I
clearly
think
never had to deal
I
with
think
that.
it would just take I think it's just too early. to really see, and especially if Demonland
Yeah.
is affecting the fetus in any way, shape, or form.
It's a
That
ghost baby.
okay.
Ghost
It's a ghost
baby
baby.
on Cooey children.
It's just invisible right now.
Well, we'll hopefully see what's going on with that. We got a lot of questions. And Jasper. I forgot about Jasper. We got to figure out what's going on
Oh
with
god,
that.
there's so many things. Yeah,
There's so
Jasper.
many things. And there's only what? This was episode 6, so there's only 4 episodes left in this season.
Oh
We will not
jeez.
get all the answers,
How dare.
but we will get some.
I I demand all the answers.
So I think we should get into that next episode and see if there's some answers for you guys.
Yeah, I'm down.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
So thank you everyone for listening to Ope, I Found a Weird Show. We can't wait to continue the recap next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.